So I'll start recording now. A little late. We'll have it for later. And then inside this loop, what I'm doing is following the rules. So specifically, if it's odd, we do the one thing, and if it's even, we do the other thing. And then we're going to add 1 to our length number all the time. So if, and how do we tell if something's odd? You know, they're not going to tell us on the test, but we've done this a bunch. Modulo 2, if it's odd, you don't need curly brackets here because it's, we're going to replace the number n with 3 times n. Is it plus 1? Plus 1 is the rule. Going back to, sorry if I'm in the way. And then else, it's either odd or even at this point, so we don't have to do else if. So n equals n divided by 2. I'm just gonna back here check again. Yeah, the rule is if it's even, the next term is the number divided by 2, and if it's odd, the next term is 3n plus 1. Okay, so I got that. Meanwhile, every time we come in here and do this, I'm adding 1 to my length variable. And we say the length, I set the length to 1 to start with because we know the number is greater than 0. So it has to have at least 1. If it happened to be equal to 1, it wouldn't even go into this loop. If it's anything bigger than 1, it will go into the loop. And then every time it goes through the loop, it'll give us the next number. And then when it's done looping, we return the length. And you could call it anything. It didn't have to be len. I just did that because that's like length. And I think that's part A. I'm going to just peek at my part A from before. Oh, here I said while n is greater than 1. But that's fine. It doesn't matter. I said while n not equal to 1. It's not going to get negative here. They've shown us how these things work. So any questions from the room? So the challenge is, you're thrown this thing like the sequence, and you're like, whoa, what are they talking about? But you spend a couple minutes getting your mind around it, and then there's always, like, often, not always. In this case, there's part A and there's part B. Let's go down and look at part B. Well, actually, I'd like you to try to work on part B. I'll give you part B is actually. And so put your answer in here online, if you would. Part B is it's pretty short. So I'm going to give you, let's just do 3 minutes. Try to do part B. 4 minutes. So go ahead and work on part B. Okay, I'm going to talk about B. So take a minute, just, you can stop working. So they're saying one of these sequences is considered long if its length is greater than its starting value. So, they gave us an example where it started with 5 and the length was 6. So that's considered long because 6 is greater than 5. But the second one they gave us, when you start with 8, that's not considered long because the length is 4 and 4 is not greater than 8. So for this, you, I think literally can just say if, and then what's the name of the method we just wrote? Hailstone length. In fact, I think we can even just do it without an if, just say return hailstone length greater than n. And was it greater than or equal to or greater than? Greater. I do have, yeah, exactly. That's all we had to do. So sorry for all the windows flying around. Literally, this is all you had to do. That's why I only gave you a few minutes to do it. So you're allowed to call one method from inside another method. And in fact, they told you in here you must use hailstone length appropriately to receive full credit. So that's like a big clue. If they say that, then try to figure out how to do what they're saying. It means you have to use the thing you just wrote. And it's okay if the thing you just wrote, like even if you didn't answer that question right, they're not using your code. They're just saying, hey, assume it works. And so what we're doing here is we're just calling this method with n that we just got sent in here. And then we're returning, this is a true or false statement. If that number is greater than n, it returns true. If it's less or equal to, it returns false. Now, you could have, if hailstone length n greater than n, return true, and then on the next line say return false. You could have done that too. So I mean, if it's freaking you out that I did it all in one line, then don't do it all in one line. You know, it's the same thing. But when you say return and then there's a Boolean expression, it's cool. All right, so let's work on part C. We've already taken a little too long for this whole problem. I'm gonna pause the recording, so I'll resume my recording. People at home or on the video, here's the answer. I forgot to turn it on while I talked about it. Sorry. Okay, we're gonna go to the next problem. So submit. If you didn't do it, maybe you should do it later. I'm gonna be able to see who did it, who didn't do it. But we're gonna go to, on my view, let's see if it's been assigned yet. At 12 p.m. The second one will be assigned. Here we go. I wonder if I can assign it right now, or if that's going to confuse everybody.
Wait, Mr. Hayes.
Yeah.
So we submitted just after doing question 1. We're not doing 2, 3, or 4.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, we're just doing hailstone. Thank you for asking. Yeah, we're not doing the whole exam. And all right, so I just assigned the second one. It's called wordPair. wordPair FRQ 2018 exam. So if you would read this problem, we've got a part A, and oddly, they don't give you a place to enter part A, but they have a part B, and then they have a place to enter things for. So we're going to do all our entering in the part B spot down below. But read it through and try to write this code. I'm going to give you 10 minutes, then we'll talk about it. 10 minutes for part A. I would stop trying to work on it and listen to me. So they've given us this class. It's called a word pair list. Well, no, there's a word pair object. And we're not going to write any of that. We just have to trust that it exists. A word pair takes a first and last, two words, and it puts them together, and you can get the first and you can get the second. Okay, so that's just a given. And a word pair list has one private variable. It's an array list of word pair objects called all pairs. And then we have a constructor that takes an array of words. And then we have a method called number of matches. So they asked us to write the constructor. So remember, constructors don't have a return type. So it's just public word pair list. And then it takes a, and I don't know on the exam if they'll probably give you this line, you know, above the field that you're entering stuff into. You know, you don't normally have to type the first line of your program. Okay. This is a great problem for us to do because you have to, at this point, initialize the all pairs variable. So all pairs equals array list word pair. All right, so it's easy to forget to do this, but if we look back at the problem, the private variable, it says private array list word pair all pairs. Now normally if you were doing this in some other program all in one place, you'd say equals new array list word pair with and so that's what we're doing here. We're doing this other part. I forgot to put the word new here. I'm sorry. Yeah, so sorry. I was sharing it to the people at home, but I wasn't showing it to you guys. I apologize. It should be there. Okay, good. So we're doing basically the second half of this line. They're declaring the variable private array list word pair all pairs, and then we're doing the all pairs equals, it's a new array list of word pair objects, and then the open and close parens. So that's, now we have that variable. And then now we have to go through all the words they sent us and make all the pairs. And we're gonna need, I would imagine 2 for loops for int I equals 0, I less than words dot size, sorry, dot length. It's an array. And we're gonna say -1 because we're not gonna, we don't wanna have this outer loop use the last, the very last word. We'll see why in a sec. I am recording this, good. Okay, and then inside here, we're gonna do another loop for, I'm gonna do j, int j equals I plus 1, like the next word over, right? J less than words dot length. This one does go all the way to the end, j plus plus. And then, so what we're doing here, just to go back to their problem, if they send over the words 1, 2, 3, what we do is we take the word 1 and we make a word pair with 2 and with 3. And then we take the word 2 and we make a pair of it with the word 3. And then we don't take 3 and make a word pair with itself. That's why we're doing a -1 on the first for loop. Because this right here won't, it would do, it would have, I would be 0 and then it would be 1, but it would never be 2 on that example of the 1, 2, 3. Anyway, then in here, we're going to add to the all pairs variable, all pairs, add, that's a command for an array list. And it's a new word pair. And we're going to send over words I, comma, words j. And I'll get out of your way. And I'll make it large enough so you can see it without scrolling. Kind of crazy, but that's what's up. I'm gonna interrupt just for a sec and just peek at my solution from the other day. And that's exactly what we needed. So I was glad I did it right. So 2 things of note, this -1 is necessary because we don't want to include the last word in the array and then try to make a word pair of it with something else. So that's why we're We're only going up to the second of the last item in the array. And then this +1 here is important because you're not ever going to be making a word pair of a number of a word with itself. So you always want to be starting with the next one to the right. Any questions on part A? And again, I know there was no place to enter part A here, so I told you to enter it in the part B area. So then let's look at part B. It's a little quicker. Part B tells you, returns the number of word pair objects in which both strings are the same. And they give you an example. If you send over the red fox, the red, this is what would get created. And there's two pairs, two ones where the words are the same. And you can use any of the methods and calls up here to make this work. So I'm going to give you 4 minutes to do this. I'm not, then we'll just move on. So go ahead. Try part B. We're going to go over this one. So you're assuming that you have already created one of these things. And let's see, what's this one called? Int number of matches. So public int num matches. I don't think it has anything in the parentheses. Nope. All right. So we're going to go through this. There's this variable called all pairs, and we're going to go through the whole thing and then just count up how many where the words are the same. So we're going to need a count variable. Now, if you were stuck, you could do this. You could write int count equals 0, and then at the bottom, you could write return count. And that shows that you understand you're supposed to be returning a number. And you might get a ½ point for that. And that's better than leaving it blank. So when you're stuck on the AP test, look at what it's asking you to return, like true or false or a count. This is literally better than leaving it blank, even though you might think, oh, this is total cop-out. It's not a total cop-out. It tells them, hey, I understand I'm supposed to be counting something, but I'm not quite sure how to do it. All right, so now let's do, I'm going to do an enhanced for loop because it's easier for this. We're going to say for word pair P in all pairs. And then if P dot get first dot equals P dot get second. Count plus plus. Now I'm sorry, I have to flip back and make sure it's get first and get second. They told us that those were methods in the word pair class. So yeah, get first and get second. And you have to use dot equals because it's strings, so they're testing you on that, as opposed to equal if it was integers or booleans or doubles. But that's literally that. Literally. Questions? Anyone at home have a question? Anyone in the room have a question? My point of throwing these at you today is not to make you feel sad or overwhelmed or scared, but the more of these you see and then go, oh, okay, it's not as bad as I thought, then you'll get used to like, okay, probably I'll be able to put something together on these things. You could always try one of these again later, like tomorrow or in 4 days, and say, without looking at what I entered before, can I write this now? Give it a try and then compare with the answer. Let's see, there's not a part C on this one. I do have, I have one more, and we're not gonna have time to do it all today, but I am gonna assign it. And I see somebody's asked a question online, so I'll get to that. Yeah, I'll throw part B up here Here it is. We just make an account variable. And by the way, if you didn't want to do an enhanced for loop, you could do a regular for loop. And you would be doing for int I equals 0, I less than all pairs dot size, because use dot size with array list. I plus plus, you can see why I avoided this because this is worse. But then inside here, it's a little crazy. You'd say if, and then all pairs dot get I. Literally at this point, you could then say dot get first dot equals, I'm not even kidding. And then all pairs dot get I dot get second, you know, count plus plus. So, or I think you can find a solution online, or I know I saw one where instead of doing all pairs get I twice, they just got the current word pair and put it in a word pair variable. You could say word pair temp equals all pairs dot get I, and then you could just put the word temp right here instead of that all pairs get I twice. It just makes it more readable. Okay. Let's look at the last one. I know class is over in 5 minutes, and I respect that. The last problem is to write an entire class, and I want you to do this. I mean, you don't have to start it right now, but I'd like you to try to do it. Why don't we say do this? Get it done by tomorrow, by the end of tomorrow. I mean, you could do it today if you have time. Get it done tomorrow. If you don't have time today, it's not as bad as you think, but they're asking you to write a class from scratch. And they're just saying, hey, here's what the output should be. You take care of the insides, write a class that does this. And please write it and turn it in here, and we'll talk about it next time. All right, and I'm gonna turn